Good afternoon, folks. Dennis Jr. here with Zager Guitars in Lincoln, Nebraska. I'm going to go over a video today about correct string height and raising and lowering action. Maybe you got your guitar in the mail and you're looking at string height and you're saying, this seems a little higher maybe than I thought it should be. And there's a reason for this. When my father finishes each guitar and does his final setup on it, brand new, we like to set action at 3/16 of an inch. And just to show you where that's at, I'm going to have the camera come over here and we're just going to show you exactly. And we measure at the 12th fret, measuring not from the top of the fret, but from the fretboard to the big E string. And you see we even have a line there drawn about where action should be, but we're right at 3/16. And you'll notice that action is low here, and it raises as you go all the way down to the saddle. And we do this for a reason. If you have too low of string height down here towards the sound hole, you start to lose sound quality. And it starts to kind of defeat your purpose for, we're going after great playability. And if you look at 90% of their players spend their time on these parts of the fretboards up here towards the nut. But if you look at our guitars, you have less string pressure on our guitars. I've got a lot of guys, 40-year players who will get their hands on one of our guitars, and I notice these guys are still pressing real hard when they don't have to press as hard anymore. It's amazing when you tell them just lighten up a little bit. They're used to just clamping on here really hard because 40 years of playing really hard to play guitars will do that. But when they lighten up a bit, it's amazing because that lighter touch allows you to move around in a much more fluid way on the fretboard. You're not having to muscle everything anymore. But back to the string height. We set, again, string height's a little higher down by the sound hole, again, for better sound quality. We could go lower, and you can set them up a bit lower, but you're going to lose some sound quality by bringing this down. And if you look also at our saddles here, you'll notice our saddles are just a little bit higher than most guitars. And the reason being for this, the harder this angle is, meaning when this string comes over the saddle here, we want this angle to be more acute. The more acute this angle, the more the string drives down into the soundboard and the bigger your sound. And if you're measuring, you say, oh, you've got a really tall saddle on here. Never measure down here. We want this tall. We want the tallest saddle. What we're looking at is string height where your fingers actually feel it, and that's on the fretboard. So always do your measuring. We do ours right at the 12th fret. A lot of manufacturers do as well. And also by having the strings a little higher here above the sound hole, it's easier for finger picking. So there's multiple things. You can tell my father's 50, 60, 70 years of research here that has gone into setting up and building the ultimate guitar for all styles and for all playing styles. And we even make the guitars so they're adjustable, meaning you watch certain players and certain players hit the strings a little more aggressively, a little bit more what you call with a heavier hand, versus some players like my father, he has a very light touch. You will find generally, I hate to say this, but generally the better players seem to have a little bit lighter touch. And the reason for this, you can move with greater speed if you have a lighter touch. If you're having to clamp on and grab and go really heavy on the guitar, it's going to slow you down a little bit. But you notice Andre Segovia, a lot of these high-end Chet Atkins, they play with a very light touch, and this allows you to move with more speed on the fretboard. Also, one thing to remember, when you're really hitting these strings hard, you're actually pulling them out of tune. So your guitar is falling out of tune as you're playing it. So there are multiple reasons here for why a lot of your more high-end players play with a lighter touch. But if you do play with a lighter touch, it allows you to do something, and that is bring the strings down a little lower, meaning lowering your action. And the way to do this on our guitars is with your truss key, and I'm just going to show you quick here. And you've probably seen it in other videos in how to raise action to get rid of a buzz. But we're going to lower action here. And basically it's just taking your Allen key that came with your guitar, and if you need them you can get them on our website. We include them with all the guitars, and inserting it under the neck here into the sound hole. And basically you lock it into place and you're going to turn the key clockwise. I say like from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock. And what this is doing is by turning the truss clockwise, it's turning the neck back. It's pulling the neck back this way. And by pulling the neck from this angle to this angle, it lowers action here. So if you are a lighter touch player, when my dad sets these up at the end, he's trying to set them up for all players, and that's where we set at that 3/16 height. But if you're a lighter touch player, you may be able to go in here and tune this and turn it clockwise several times until, and the way you test this, make sure the guitar's in tune, and then just go down and check your chords. And if you're not buzzing, you can continue to go back in here and turn clockwise and keep lowering. And the point where you back off is when you get to a point where you're getting buzzes, meaning I'm going to go in here and tune it again. It may take a few times. But you notice we were at 3/16. Notice I've gone twice, 3 times. And what this is doing again is it's taking this neck and it's turning it back this way, which is lowering action. And let's test here. So we're still clear. If you're getting buzzes, you know at that point you've gone as low as you can go, and then simply you go back in and then you would turn counterclockwise just to raise it a little bit so you're not buzzing. This is also effective too, you know, climates and things like that, different humidity levels. You may be a change of season into fall or something where the weather's getting a little dry. You've lowered a little possibly in the face because of the change in seasons, and you'll have to go and adjust this. And my dad has videos on this as well of how to adjust them. But today I just want to cover over, you know, just lowering action. And you can raise the same way. If you're a heavier handed player and get on it a little more aggressively, we do just the opposite. We go into adjust the truss rod, and you're going to turn counterclockwise from 2 o'clock to 10 o'clock. And keep backing off until you can pluck the strings and you don't get a buzz. So they're really tweaked out for this. And one other thing to remember, when the guitar is brand new, my dad likes to set them up a little high because he knows these woods are still green. So if you're sitting here saying, well, the action's just too high yet, he sets them high for a reason. I've had guys come in and they'll get their guitar, it's a week old, and they'll take the saddle out and they'll grind it down a little lower to their exact string height they like. This is after adjusting the truss rod all they can. They even want to go lower, so they pull this out and lower it even more. The thing they don't realize though is this is a brand new guitar and the woods are still green, meaning the woods are green and they're still settling. As they settle, your action will lower a little. So do keep this in mind if you're making adjustments. I like to say don't make adjustments for about 6 months, meaning as those woods settle, your action's going to lower, and as those woods settle, it's going to sound a lot better as well. So if your guitar's maybe not as deep and robust as you want, give it 6 months. You look through our testimonials and reviews, and it's gonna, you'll notice customers always saying they got a lot richer and deeper sounding. So hopefully, again, I'm gonna go over again. If you want to lower action when it's brand new, I don't suggest pulling the saddle out or anything, or trying to lower or file off the saddle. I suggest going in with your truss rod key and turning clockwise from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock. Testing, making sure you're in tune the whole time, very important. Always remain in tune when you're doing your testing. And this will change the tune a little bit. You're going to have to retune it as you're changing the neck, the angle of the neck. But keep going until you get to the point where it's buzzing, and then back off counterclockwise a little, and that is your setup for your playing style. So you can really tune these guitars in exactly to where you want them. So hopefully this helps you a little bit as far as, you know, action and that sort of thing, and explains a few details about our guitars and how they're designed. So if you have any other questions, don't be afraid to call or email. Someone's here 7 days a week. You can reach me at dennis@zager.com, and I'll be here to help you.